basically we have, so I am moving over to the first slide. So this is something which is very important. So SAP will not support any, so before the advent of EWM, there used to be a older solution, right? So this solution is called LEWM. So what happens is, before the advent of the SAP EWM, so there was a solution called logistic execution WM. So in that solution, there was also a WMS solution that was implemented as part of the core SAP. I mean, the SSE central it was a part of the SAP central component, ECC, right? So, but then what happened is, there in the project which implemented those solutions, they had to, build a lot of enhancements to accommodate a lot of processes like RF scanning, cross docking, etc. So there are very complex processes inside the warehouse, and that solution was, it was very difficult to, improvise on that solution, because that has interdependency on the other part of the central component. So SAP has started, thinking about a new solution, which will integrate with the SAP solution, but then it can also be treated as a standalone. Okay, so then after the successful implementation and the success of that particular in that particular area, so SAP has decided that let's stick to EWM, and we will only support EWM going forward. So WM will be decommissioned gradually in the coming years. So you will see more of projects, adopting EWM. That is because WM solution, which is the older solution, will be decommissioned, and there will be no support from the SAP after 31st December. This is the date. Okay. So then, so this is the reason that we have a lot of, the projects are operating, and will they try to operate in EWM. So what are the different objectives of implementing EWM? So we have, warehouse process. It is important to reduce the travel time. Means the first is travel time, means what is the time taken for the resource to perform a particular activity, such as putting away a stock into the warehouse, picking different internal movements. Okay, and then right amount of work on the floor, right time. So that we will have there is always some time constraint. So there is some cutoff and release date. So when the waves are released, picking activities are released, so warehouse operator will have a certain time to finish the task, so that this task is managed within that time efficiently. And also resources. So resource planning is it is very important from the aspect of the warehouse, because warehouse, there are several resources who are assigned to several process areas, such as some resources will be tagged to unloading process, some will be like loading process, right? Some will be packing. So their resources work in different areas. So we need to manage those resources, and so that these processes are executed with efficiency, right? And then productivity. So there are a lot of tasks inside the warehouse, and we need to ensure that the productivity, the time taken for each of the tasks. This is it's contrasted with the resource time. This is the time taken for a particular task to happen. And system directed response employees means there will be the guided response. So the employee will log into some RF device, and they will see that the process flow is happening. They will get the task, right, whatever is the task due for today. So they will be able to execute those tasks. And also, as we know that I in the introductory session also I told you, right? So we are in EWM, we are only dealing with the stock materials, stock procurement. So there are several types of procurement. So there may be some non-stock procurement. There might be some procurement which is not related to, which basically that we are not considering those incoming materials into stock to be stored, right, inside a warehouse or a storage area. So those are not included in EWM. EWM only deals with the physical stock. So which means that we need to have a report of those stocks, where these stocks are exactly located, what is the quantity, and reports, etc. So that is very important for a stock officer or a stock operator, whoever is in the office. He needs to bring out the reports, right, periodically for the stock. And then stock counting. Questions?
See, warehouse, it means that it basically, I mean, EWM basically deals with the material which is physically present in the warehouse, not with anything with the incoming or outgoing. I mean, basically, I mean to say inventory has nothing to do with the EWM, correct?
No, inventory means what? The product which are placed in the inventory. There are certain products, suppose just in time, for example. So what happens is, we know that this vendor can supply us products within 24 hours. So if we order in the morning, within 2 hours, this product can be delivered to us. We know it for very sure.
Mm.
Do we need to maintain inventory for those type of products? No, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
No.
these are the materials that we need to maintain in the system, in the material master. We have to maintain the master data, because we need the dimension, quantity. There are a lot of information for a product, right? We need to have those informations in our
Correct,
system,
correct.
but we do not need to maintain an inventory for those type of products. So this, what
Ah,
happens
okay.
is, in SAP, these products are SAP in something called plant. So I'll give you some background.
Mm.
So before at EWM, there are some org structure that happens. In SAP, in the broader level, there is a client, right? So in the client,
Okay,
there is inside the client there will be several company codes. In the company
okay,
code is the all the chart of accounts and accounting data, everything like GL accounts, right? Or everything. So like from the finance perspective, everything is tagged to the assigned to the company code. Inside the
okay.
company code, you will have something called plant. And this plant is a very vast thing. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it can be a manufacturing plant, it can be a distribution center, it can be these are I'm giving you, it's a part of actually, but a bit
Uh-huh.
snapshot is required in order to start with
Okay.
EWM. So this
Okay.
plant can be a production unit, it can be a distribution center, the plant can be something like a local office, right? Or it can
It
be
basically would be cost center. It
uh,
basically would be a cost center, right?
cost center is different. So in order to have the
Uh,
cost center, you will have to activate the cost accounting. That is a separate module in SAP. So there is a
I see.
cost center. Cost center is like master data. You will have to so you will have to decide whether for a particular company or a controlling area, rather than company, there is something in SAP called controlling area. So you will have to activate the
Mm-hmm.
cost center or not. So cost center based accounting will be activated or not, right? So if that is
Mm-hmm.
activated, then you can use the procurement side, you can use account assigned purchase order. So this purchase order will be assigned to a cost center. Normally cost center will be
Mm-hmm.
present for every company, right? So suppose we are
Yeah.
procuring certain um, paper, right? Paper or laptop, for example, for our employees in the company. So what we'll do is it will be evaluated in the quantity level. So 5 laptops, for example, and this will be assigned to certain cost center, and the purchase order will be created with reference to a cost center. Does that answer
Okay.
your question?
Yeah, yeah, clear.
So coming to, I don't know whether this is feasible to you.
Yeah, this is okay.
Okay, so it is EWM is superior solution than the earlier solutions, because in SAP EWM there is less chance for enhancements. I mean, in the previous solution, I told you already that business had to do a lot of adjustments, enhancements in order to accommodate all the business process that is happening in the organization. Whereas in EWM, the standard system is kept. The capability of standard system is far more than what the earlier solution used to be. And then we have completely integrated RF functionality within EWM. And as you can see, if you can use this system intelligently, then in the standard function only, you will be able to accommodate almost all the business process. But now and then there will be some need for enhancements, like there will be some level printing, some those things definitely. But then the standard system, the capability of the standard system has increased in the new solution. Okay, so this is a roadmap. So I think this slide is covering from 2019, but after 2019 also the solution continues. So what happens is, when SAP EWM was first introduced, it was introduced as a decentralized solution. So in order to use EWM, you need to have access to two systems. The first one is the ECC system, So you will have two login IDs. In the ECC system, you will have to configure the procurement, I mean the material, all information, right? The batch, the material, the plant, whatever I was talking about, the company code, plant, everything will be part of the ECC system. And in the new system, which is an EWM, that will be a standalone solution, which you need a separate, it is a separate server, right? So you'll have to log into a separate server, and then it will exchange the information. It will rather, interchange, transfer the data between these two systems. So but
first
now
login
what
was
is,
for ECC. Sorry for interrupting. First login was for ECC, right? And
no,
first
for
you have to
both.
log into ACC.
That depends how the process is coming. If normally all the data are coming from ECC system, right? The customer, the vendor, the plant, the material, all this information coming from ECC system only. Now in S4 HANA, so in S4 HANA, what happens, there are two solutions. One is EWM 9.5. I think, I am not sure what is the latest one, because I haven't used the latest decentralized EWM, but it goes like that, 9.4, 9.5. So this is a decentralized EWM, which is integrated with the core component. So we need two login IDs, but now SAP has introduced an embedded version. So in the embedded version, what happens is you don't need to use two different systems. So rather you can use one login, so so that you can use the EWM system as well, along with all other components of SAP. So that is the meaning of embedded, and it comes in the S4 HANA on-premise edition. You will find something, if you Google it, you will find something called S4 HANA on-premise solution, right? So in that solution, there is SAP S4 core component is there, plus there is also EWM solution is also included in that.
S4 HANA would be the server, and then EWM is the model, correct?
That is correct. So in the S4 HANA is just a system. It is not a server. So S4 HANA, what is this? S4 HANA is a type of a solution. So S4 HANA is the latest solution. The latest solution, I think, is 1909. After that, I think 2022. There's another solution that has been introduced now. So I have worked in 1909. In our present work project runs on 1909, which is pretty recent only.
The latest one is 991. What is it? The latest one, 91.
I am working in 1909. So that was the latest one. I think this year there is another solution that has been introduced, which I have not checked yet. So yeah, so every year there is a new solution that is coming in place, and it is incorporating some new functionality. And even in the EWM side, it is impacting our functionalities. It is adding some new functionalities. Okay, so this is something that is happening now. These are the constant. So EWM system was planned as a, so what I mean to say here, the reason I'm showing you this slide is you need to understand something. EWM has planned as a decentralized solution first. And now also EWM system, even if it is embedded in the central component, or it is embedded in the core S4 HANA, right? But then it is being treated as a decentralized component. In order to use this EWM system, you need to integrate the EWM system just like you integrate a decentralized solution. So it will be you have to define a dummy destination, even if it is the same system, but you have to define a dummy destination.
So
Okay.
decentralized, when you're saying, it means that it's a kind of a standalone system, or
It can
what
be a
we understand.
standalone system. It can be used with SAP other solutions, right? So it is a standalone system, meaning it is capable of carrying out its activity on its own without being dependent on other system. That is fine. But suppose if we have, for example, let us think of one scenario. So suppose it's a big global company, right? We have, and this company is in China, it is in Korea, as well as it is in US. So what happens is then we need to suppose there is a factory in Australia. There is a warehouse in Australia. Let's assume there is a warehouse in Australia, and this is a global company which has its branches all over the world, right? So then what happens is Australian warehouse is receiving inventory from everywhere. It is from US also, it is being shipped. Some products are being shipped from US, some products are being shipped from China. So from every territory, the products are being shipped. So now what happens is this system needs to integrate with multiple solutions, right? So suppose China has a different S4 HANA system. There is some company code S4 HANA for China. There is another company it's a group of companies, right? So then let's say there is another company in US. There are several companies, and then this warehouse in Australia needs to exchange information, exchange products and services with all these different warehouse, all these different locations. So we need to integrate. Then it is how to define this in the system. What is the solution you're going to give the client? So when implementing, then we will suggest that let's go for a decentralized EWM for Australia, right? Location, and then you can use it across the geography. You can integrate with multiple ERP systems. Make sense?
Okay. Understood. So you mean to say it's a customized solution which can be integrated with other
Right. It
modules or
depends on
functions?
what is the requirement. Let's say a business, and there is another catch. I will come to that later. So what happens is, let's say business have business is a 3PL warehouse. It's a third-party logistics which only operates on the warehouse. It does not bother about the customer, right? Customer or vendor. Their only job is to run the warehouse, and they get paid for that. They run the warehouse, they get paid for that. That is the only business that they have. So what they will prefer a decentralized solution. Why to bother with the other services? They do not own those services, right? They do not have ownership on those other services. So they will rather operate only on the warehouse. So a decentralized solution will be advisable. But then think about a company which is a production company, which manufactures paper, for example. So in that case, what happens is they will have to maintain the inventory. Paper means we will have something. There is something called rolls, right? Rolls, and there will be something called pulps. There will be something called vitals. All these are raw materials, semi-finished products. They'll have to keep inventory for all those products inside their warehouse. So what they will do is they will have to also use the accounting information, because they need to keep a record of what is going out, what is coming in from the accounting standpoint for audit purpose. So they need to use both finance, controlling, cost center, along with EWM. EWM is also a requirement for them. So in this type of enterprises, you will suggest that you go for a embedded solution. Understand? So it is not the solution is present. All types of solutions has been introduced. It is more or less about how the business is, I mean, what is the mode of business. So based on that, business at the time of the starting of the implementation, they will decide whether to go for a embedded or a decentralized solution. Because as a consultant, this is very important to know. So I have spent some time on this slide. This is something this is something that is required, but it is not very important because we go deeper into the solution. It's just an overview. So there are two different types of suite. One is in the cloud, which frankly speaking, I have never used this solution. The second solution, the first solution is something that we use everywhere, which is the EWM, and it is a business suite, decentralized or embedded EWM in S4 HANA. So this is something that our training will be based on, the first one.
Okay, so the cloud is the third part, correct? The cloud, S4 HANA cloud part is something different which we will not be discussing.
Yeah, it is completely different, and it needs technical knowledge. It's not even a functional module.
Okay. It's a technical.
You need technical knowledge to understand, because everything in the cloud is like app based, and everything you need to have knowledge on all those things. So it is a different, you can say it's a different module. It is not even covered in the SAP certification for EWM. Okay.
So you have never worked on the cloud platform?
No, we do not work, and I have never known any project to actually use this solution, but it is there.
Maybe the latest, it's kind of the
Yes, because the first solution is configurable, and you can use it according to its master data and everything. And in the cloud solution, there is always a potential threat of security. You must be knowing all these things, right? There is something now evolving as Microsoft Azure. There is something like Amazon Web Services. So this type of things, you must be knowing Netflix. Everybody knows about Netflix. Netflix is fully based on AWS. So, but the problem is that in this type of companies where there is a lot of content sharing, so in this type of companies, it is good solution. But most of the companies will try to protect the data. So they will not data security. They will not. They will are on the side of safety. I mean, they will not want anybody to compromise their data. So that is the reason the organizations still prefer to keep the information in the hard drives inside their organization somewhere in the secure vault, rather than you making it public and going for the cloud. Although there are a lot of security measures that has been introduced, but still you are relying on a third party company, right, for your information.
Correct.
So that is,
Yeah.
I mean, it might be old school thought, it can be changed in future, but recently I don't think everybody can completely migrate to this kind of solutions. That might be one of the reasons, right? So there are a lot of functionalities in EWM. This slide, because anyways we are going to come across all this. There is something called yard management. So yard management, there is something called slotting. There is something called transportation cross docking, kit to order, kit to stock. These are the some advanced modules. So I am skipping this slide.
I mean, are we using all these models in the current EWM?
These EWM has two different licenses. The first license is called a basic EWM, and the second license is called advanced EWM. So in the basic EWM, only the processes that are required for the basic functioning of the warehouse, like the inbound, outbound, internal movements, all these processes will be covered. And in the advanced EWM, you will have to use certain functionalities like wave management, for example, advanced production integration. All this requires a different license. So you will have to purchase a different license to use these advanced functionalities. So I have already covered this. I think this slide. This is how the easy access screen looks like. I mean, this is the, so in SAP, I think, have you ever logged into any SAP? I mean, to use any
Yeah,
work?
yes, I do have.
What type of functionality you used in SAP?
SAP, I have used the procurement part. Okay.
Okay.
The next for the finance module, and currently use the project management, wherein we just check the invoices, the commercial part. The three modules I have: procurement, the finance, and the project management.
Okay, that sounds good. But yeah, so you were familiar about, there are two things in what something is called a manual configuration, which is called as a SAP Easy Access, and there is something called configuration called SPRO. SPRO is the transaction code. So you are familiar with the basic thing, right? The transaction code, how to enter the transaction code and all these things. How to add favorites, all these things. So this is, now we are on the Easy Access menu. So what is Easy Access menu?
Easy Access menu is a kind of login menu wherein we just navigate to our particular area of interest, kind of a home page.
Okay, so Easy Access menu is for the end users. Okay, so every software will have a backend. So in this backend is for the configuration, where the developer or the configurator can make changes in the backend configuration, and this they will have a wider access. This configurator or developer or system admin, whoever is that person, will have a lot of access for the users. And this particular screen here, this is for the end user. End user will not see all the transactions, and they will not have access to all the transactions. So this screen is backend, they will not be able to access, and backend is called SPRO. So there is a transaction code called SPRO, or from this screen also you can navigate there, but the end users will not have access. So as a consultant, if you are a consultant, then you will have to use that SPRO to configure the system according to the business need. So this is now SAP Easy Access, and we are seeing the SAP EWM menu. So this is how the menu looks like. These are some of the settings here. Okay, so I was talking about, there are two solutions, right? One is advanced EWM warehouse management, and one is a basic warehouse management. So what all are included in advanced? So advanced by basic, first I have a look on the basic. So in the basic we have the inventory management. Inventory management is nothing but finding the exact location of a stock, where the stock is placed, where the stock is getting transferred to, right? All this information, and what type of a movement it is, all these are there in the inventory management. And in the inbound processing, so we'll have all kinds of inbounds. It can be external procurement, where it is coming from an external vendor. It may be something called a production, so it is coming from some production. So we have a production shop floor where we issue the components, and then the produced good, the final product is coming to our warehouse. So this is also an incoming movement, although it is not happening from an external process. It is happening within our facility, but then it is an internal movement. It might be a return from a customer. It has been returned by customer because something is missing or something is defective maybe. Then the customer will return the product, and it is coming to our facility. Outbound processing, all kinds of outbound processing. It can be a simple, issue to the customer. There is a customer order and we are issuing the product to a customer. Okay, anything which is going out of the facility is outbound, anything which is coming into the facility is inbound, as simple as that. So how can it go outside a facility? It may be a internal stock transfer, right? That may be like we have two warehouses. One warehouse is at Delhi, one warehouse is at Pune. So now from the Delhi warehouse, some product is being shipped to Pune warehouse. So we will have a stock transport order. I don't know whether you are familiar with that. There is something called STO, that is it's an process. So it's kind of a purchase order, but then the supplier, it will have two things. One will be the supplier and one will be the receiver. The supplier will be the Delhi plant and the receiver will be the Pune plant in this case. So in the warehouse of the Delhi plant, it will be an outbound movement, and for the perspective of the Pune plant, it is an inbound movement. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah, understood. Yeah, understood.
Internal movements, all types of product will be transferred from one location to another location. All types of movements, these are supported, like physical inventory. What is physical inventory? Have you got any? Do you know anything about physical inventory?
Physical inventory is the stock which is available in the warehouse.
Physical inventory means it's a physical stock. You just explained what is a physical stock, which is physically available in the warehouse. Physical inventory is another process. It is called inventory counting. Now you understand. It means every organization has to count the inventory. So whatever is there in the system, let's say that a particular plant has a stock of material, you will see the report, right? In the system, you will find that there is 1000 quantity of a particular material is available in a particular plant. Then you need to actually, but it is in the system. It's a book. It's called book value. Why? Because system is the official record, so we have a book value. But more often than not, this might not match with the actual stock in the warehouse. Depends on the ongoing operations. There might be several reasons, right? Because maybe, for example, we keep a stock in a high rack. Due to some reason, that high rack has been broken and it is under repair. The stock has been moved from that place to somewhere in the corner of the facility. There is another rack in which the stock has been moved temporarily. Things keep on happening right inside the warehouse. We are sitting in the system. We do not know what is happening in the warehouse. Somebody has to go there and physically check where actually the stock is there. And this might be, sometimes these all things might be an audit requirement also for the company, because company inventory coming in the balance sheet of the company, and this company is listed in the stock exchange. You know what kind of thing can happen, right? So they need to maintain, they need to even if they are saying in the quarterly report, they will have to say this is the stock that is present. This is the inventory in hand. So this inventory in hand they have. So basically they will have to report it pretty correctly. And suppose some stock, some product, some stock has been, if there is, it's a company where it deals with a shrinking material, like it's a grocery or something, then the stock will after some time the stock will be shrinked. There will be shrinkage. So all these things needs to be taken into account. So that is the reason every organization has to perform a physical inventory count annually, periodically. It depends on the modus operandi. So it might be an annual, it might be monthly, it might be every day. Whenever the stock is put away is done, whenever something is coming to the store, to particular storage bin, we'll come to that later, in a particular place, let's say in a specified place in the warehouse, whenever the stock is coming, we need to perform an inventory, regardless of, no matter what. We do not want to do a periodic basis, but whenever someone is coming to a particular location in a specified location in the warehouse, the system should perform a physical inventory. Okay, this is called continuous inventory. It's divided into two broad categories. One is the continuous inventory, where it is happening for every transaction, and another one is called periodic inventory. So we schedule it to happen on the yearly basis. For example, this year July, this year October, we will do a annual inventory on all our products inside the warehouse. Let's say what is their actual count. Okay, so that is how the organization will do it. Then reporting, definitely reporting is a big thing in EWM, and they have pretty efficiently managed it, and there are several reports I'll show you later, we'll come across. Okay, so I was talking about, there was a solution previously called SAP EWM. Now there is a solution now EWM. So this is the things that you will see. I will not say that this slide is very, very important, but then in some of the projects, like I have come in a project, I worked in a project where this project was operating in LEWM, and then they have decided to migrate to SAP EWM. So what happens is we need to understand what all functionalities are not supported, what all are supported in EWM. So even though SAP you do not need to know SAP WM in order to understand SAP EWM. In order to have knowledge on SAP EWM and become an SAP EWM consultant, you don't have to have a prior knowledge on SAP WM. This slide is only important if you are working in the project which is migrating from the older solution to the new solution.
Okay.
Makes sense? So you can see what is the capabilities of the previous solution and what are the capabilities of the new solution. So new solution is way much better than the previous one. This is the org structure of EWM. What is the org structure means? Every module in SAP will have its org structure or organizational structure. EWM, it is also called structural layout of the warehouse. So these are the levels of these are the levels of a particular module, whatever that module might be. That might be FICO, or whatever that module might be. So now this is a warehouse. So first is the warehouse number, which is at the top of the chart for the warehouse structure. So this is our highest level. Okay, so warehouse number is the highest level. But if you see then storage location is the lowest level. So what is and then under the storage location only the warehouse number will be there. What is the lowest level in is the highest level in EWM. So there is a combination of plant and storage location. There is something called plant, there is something called storage location. I explained you what is plant. So plant is nothing but the 4-digit alphanumeric code in the system which represents a production. It will have all its accounting will be based on a plant. So plant is also called as a valuation area. Why? That is because the products are valued against the plant. Let's say why, although that is an question, it might be required to know going forward. Why? That is because let's say we have two plants, right? One plant is somewhere in Kashmir, Srinagar, right? And another plant is somewhere in Mumbai. Now, cost of a particular product might be different in these two plants. Am I right or wrong?
Correct. The cost will differ from location to location.
It's a different location. There might be different fluctuation in prices, all because it is very far in geographical. These two are different geographies, and there are a lot of local taxes and involved, right? So cost of a particular material might be different in these two locations. So it will be wise to follow a valuation which is based on the plant and not on the company code. If it is based on the company code, then a product, if it is suppose a company, suppose any company, for example, TCS. So TCS, what is the product of TCS? TCS product is its employees are only the product of TCS, right? The services, employees are the inventory, and the services are the product. You can say like that, right?
Yeah.
So employees, so for a service firm, employees are its inventory. It's similar to the inventory that the manufacturing company has. So now if an employee has a salary of some salary in suppose he's working in Mumbai location, and this employee will be migrated somewhere, I mean will be expatriated somewhere in US or Europe nation, right? European nation. So his package might be different, his salary might be different.
Yeah.
Right? So from understanding SAP is very simple. If someone understands business, SAP is nothing. I mean, from the perspective of SAP configuration and all, it seems very complex and all, but then it's a simple business logic. So what happens is it makes sense. So suppose there is TCS is only one company. This company exists in India, it exists in US, but the salary that has to be paid for a single employee ID, that is different across the two countries. So how right, so then if they set the valuation at the company code level, so what happens is they will have to, it will be very difficult for them to set up the accounting principle procedure according to that. So it will be wise for them, let's define two different plants. One plant is Mumbai, and another plant is let's say San Francisco, US, right? And this two plant has different valuation, even if it is the same material. Its employees are like materials here. So if it is the same resource, then it will have different valuation across geography. Okay, so under this plant, so this is the concept of plant, and inside the plant there is something called storage location. What is storage location? So plant, it is broadly valuated. So plant will have stock and non-stock materials. There are certain non-stock materials which are issued against the cost center, which we issue against, which are not valuated in the system. We do not, we do not maintain an inventory for that as well. No stock, no value. Okay, so but these things will be counted against the plant. But the storage location is something which is dealing with a physical entity. I mean, the physical receiving of the material. The material should be there. I mean, the material or the service, whatever that is. Service is normally at the plant level only, but I'm talking about the physical materials which are required. So this will be kept or placed somewhere. So storage location is a physical location. Physical, it can be a physical. It can be also it can be something like we will assign a particular type of a material to a particular storage location. So storage location can be like something called raw material. Raw material will have a different storage location. There is something called MRO, maintenance repair materials. So MRO will have a different storage location. So it depends on the organization how to configure all this structure. So I have not, there is no slide for it. I'm sorry, because I have not included a slide for the but goes like this. First is there is a company code. After that there is something called plant. After that plant there is something called storage location, and after this plant and storage location, I mean to say the combination of the plant and the storage location will be assigned to a warehouse.
Warehouse. Okay. So the difference between MM and WM would be that in WM we'll start with the warehouse as the main line
Warehouse is
item,
the
and then
highest
we'll
level, org structure.
highest level. Yes, and in the material management we'll start with the storage location.
Location. Material management will end. Material management will start with the client. End at storage location. Storage location is the lowest level org structure in ABM. So what is warehouse number? So now I am coming to, now I will not discuss any more about AMM. So let's come back to EWM. So EWM starts from the warehouse number. Inside the warehouse there are several sections in the warehouse. So it's a logical, it might not be physical, it might be also a logical subdivision, physical or logical subdivision of the warehouse where we keep the materials. It might be something called, the warehouse is divided into high racks. So there will be something, the product, high rack products, definitely it requires a lot of effort, right, to lift it up and bring it down. So we will need some forklift. There is something called forklift. So this is right. So forklift divers will pull this up and or pull it down. So we will, what we'll do is, in order to access that high rack, we'll define the high rack as a different storage type. So it makes sense because we will have to do certain activities specific to that rack. Sorry.
So type would be different in that.
Storage type is, will define a storage type for that. For the low rack, we do not need any, probably do not need any machine to lift it up. So we can do it manually. So something called, there is something called bulk. In the bulk, what happens is there are a lot of packets, packed boxes, pallets, etc. So we will keep this. There is a rack. Inside the rack, what is the capacity of keeping 2 pallets? We can, inside one, there is a one space inside the rack where you can keep 2 pallets inside. It exactly can contain 2 pallets, and more than 2 pallets it should not allow. If somebody comes in with a third pallet, then the system should be capable to say that no, the space is occupied and you cannot put another pallet into it. So this is something called bulk structure. So for the bulk structure, we define a storage type, a new storage type.
Okay. Based on the material that is being handled, we have a storage type.
Correct.
In the crust.
The nature of the material, or it might be some material which is need to be kept in a particular location. Suppose a material is there, something in a chemical company, you need to keep materials in a particular refrigerator. You have to refrigerate, or you have to keep it under pressure, or keep it in a cylinder under controlled temperature. So it has to be kept in a particular place in the warehouse. You cannot keep it anywhere. There is a designated place for that product and you have to keep it there only. So this is something called, we have something called fixed bin, where the system knows the moment the product arrives, system knows where to put away the product, where the product should be kept. So there is something called a fixed bin. There are some, we can define a storage type which adopts this fixed bin strategy. Okay. So based on the what are the different types of the products that we have, and what are the structural layout of the warehouse, what is the it is more sometimes it might be a layout of the warehouse as well. So we have to define different storage types where the products will be kept. For example, we just think of some Amazon order. We have ordered 3 items. One item is the, I suppose you have ordered something cold drinks. some cold drinks you've ordered, and then you have also ordered some processed food, and then you have some probably ordered some clothes as well from Amazon. So when the order arrives at your door, you will receive it, and after receiving it, then the cold drink will go to your refrigerator. So it is a different place in your house.
It's
And
different
then,
storage.
so depending upon the nature of the product, also the business will decide what all subdivisions are required.
Yeah.
Inside the warehouse.
Clear.
Okay. In the storage section,
Yeah.
storage section is another subdivision inside the warehouse, inside the storage type. I'll give an idea. Like the storage location might give you an idea about what type of a product it is. If it is a fast moving material, it's a slow moving material, or it is a particular type or product type that is being used. So you might, for example, in the paper industry, so what happens is when we receive any when we receive or keep any raw materials or a semi-finished product, so in the warehouse we'll have to place these products in this designated. Suppose there are rolls, right? In these there are something called rolls. In the paper manufacturing plant you will see a roller. So all these pulps, basically the raw material comes from two areas. One is the recycled products, recycled papers and everything, and another is from the forest, where the trees are cut, and from there it comes. So basically then pulps will be grinded into, there will be a rolling machine, and this pulp, it will be made into a pulp, and then this rolling machine, it will be made into rolls. This pulp, some water is added, it takes a shape of like more or less like a dough or a pulp, right? And then this roller machine will rotate around it, and then it will be made into a roll, big rolls. I mean, huge rolls will be placed. If you ever see a paper manufacturing plant, you will see a lot of rolls there, right? These rolls will also be, some of the cases, these rolls will also be printed. Some rolls will be printed, which will be used. It is not a finished product, but it is a semi-finished product, which will be processed further for a different type of paper manufacturing. The paper which is given for the newspaper and the paper which is used for making the paper cups and plates and tissues, these two paper will be different from each other. Definitely there will be some quality differences between these two types of product categories, right? So we, for a particular category, use a storage section. We'll keep these printed rolls in one storage section, and we'll keep all other normal rolls, the usual ones, in another storage section. That is one idea. It depends on the working of the organization. Most of the organization will use like fast moving, slow moving. If you go inside a something like Big Bazaar, I will not Big Bazaar is out. So anything, I mean, any store that is now, I mean, departmental store, if you go, you will see when you reach the counter, you will have all the fast moving items there at the billing counter, at the billing desk. We'll have all the fast moving material, and at the entrance of the door also there will be some fast moving materials with discounts. And if you go inside, there will be more materials which are slow moving, which they will not give a lot of discount on those materials, but they know that these materials will not be purchased at the same velocity, I mean same speed. This will not be purchased very frequently. So what they will do is they create a different section. One section is for fast moving items, another section is for slow moving items. And then there is something called storage bin. Storage bin is the lowest spatial unit in the warehouse where the product is kept. I mean, it is the lowest spatial unit in the storage section. There will be a designated place, exact location where the product is being kept. That space is known as storage bin. Unless and until you use storage bin, you cannot keep a product you cannot maintain a stock for that product.
Quantification cannot be done.
Yes, whatever the quantity, any stock of the product which is to be maintained needs storage bin. From EWM, from the system perspective, it is going to be storage bin. Okay.
Understood.
So in order to maintain an inventory unit, and this is an end user transaction. This happens in the earlier org structure. Warehouse number, storage type, storage section, everything happens in customizing, SPRO customizing.
Yeah, it's a back-end process, right?
Yes. So you need to define those things system in order to use the solution. Okay. But
and
then
at the lowest level, the lowest level, the quantification is at the done at the end user stage. I mean, the guys of the end user. Correct.
Bin is kind of a activity that is needs to be created by the end user. There are several methods. You can get this. You can have this data collected from the business in an Excel file, and you can just upload it in the system.
Can be imported.
Definitely. Yes. So this is like an end user transaction. So there are all kinds of functionalities available. You can upload it directly in the system as well.